Well, that's a little progress. Let me get readjusted here, turn the camera around, and we'll talk about having to go back to Plan 13B. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for clicking on this video. And as you could have already surmised, I went back into my shop after the previous video and realized that I needed to make a much taller front pin for my 1862 pocket police. And right now this pin is right at a ½ inch tall. When I aimed the gun, I was aiming right at the red bullseye. And it looks to me like a couple shots shot low, and 3 of them went to the right, which tells me I still need to work with the windage just a little bit. But I'll let you know what I also did is I went back in, and I don't know how well the camera's picking it up. I hope it picks up well enough. You can see that V-notch, the back of the hammer, is opened up. Now, before I started making that front pin, I took my dial calipers and I measured how wide I had made the V-notch, because of my waning eyes. And what I did is I made the front pin the same width or thereabouts as the rear sight. So when I aim the gun now, when I look down the sights in the barrel, that pin is just a hair wider than what the V-notch is on the hammer, which is going to allow me to do some filing on one side or the other of the front pin so that I can adjust the windage. Now, the other thing that I did, and if you scroll back on this channel, I cut 2 crowns on my 1858 Remingtons, the Navy and the Army model. And as most of us know, today, Pieta does not crown the front of the barrels. Today, it appears U-Birdie does. Now, go back, you'll see that this gun is, 21, 22 years old now, something in that range, even though it was a brand spanking new gun. But what I noticed after that last shooting session, this particular gun was not crowned, and if it was just ever so slightly. So what I did is I went in my shop and I re-crowned it, and I got a pretty good crown on that. I don't know how well the camera's picking it up, but like I had previously mentioned, just go back on this channel. No, and just in case anybody's imagining, I just have not gone back and re-blued it yet. But I can tell you that there's a very good crown on the muzzle of this gun. Now, just in case for those that may not understand, the reason I like having a crown on my barrel so that when that powder charge ignites and that explosion happens and it shoves the ball forward, that flame, instead of continuing to push the ball forward as much, mind you, some of that flame quickly disperses off to the side of the crowning. And that's what I'm working with right now. I'm going to get reloaded, and we'll see if I can't do maybe a little bit better, or figure out what I need to do to make the point of aim be very close to the point of impact. So just in case anybody's curious, 18 grains of Schutzen. The round ball is a solid .385. I'll address that in another video later. Number 10 percussion caps. Well, one charge sounded a little light, but let's turn the camera around and see what she did. This time, I actually buried the top of the pin right on the red dot at the top of my hammer. So let's turn the camera around and see what I did. It looks like I got one in the bullseye, one real high, and two that are still shooting to the right. Actually, it looks like one went way right, cut the edge of the paper plate. That's curious. So just in case anybody's interested about what I did to rechange that front sight, I did make it a little bit different than I did the first one. You can go back and see how I made the first one. On this one, I actually took a drill bit and I drilled out the hole just a hair bit bigger. And when I designed the pin, I know it's kind of small, it's probably really chicken scratch to most, but what I did is I put a flat collar on the pin, and underneath that I made it into the shape of a ball. But I left the edges just a little wide so that when I filled the hole with JB Weld, I was able to tap this into place. And I don't know if a lot of your friends know this, but when you're working with JB Weld, because it has such a very long drying time, you should go back and make sure that as it's drying and it's keeping your item straight. And that's kind of why I did that on the bottom, so that as the JB Weld was drying, I could do that. On the very first pin that I made, I did the same thing, but it got real late in the day and it wasn't quite, you know, hard enough or tacky enough to kind of keep everything straight. But what it did, you know, I was okay this way, but it kind of leaned it forward just a little bit, which ultimately would have changed the height. Not enough to have made a difference in the previous video, but that's kind of what I did right there in case anybody's interested. And I did the same thing with just a file, chucked it in my drill, and I just went to work. So okay, I'm loaded up, I'm ready to take the next 5 shots. What I've done the past 2 rounds, I went ahead and packed my forcing cone with some grease. I've taken the barrel off, and that Schutzen is burning real dirty, and it's leaving a lot of fouling behind. Depending on how this goes, I might just go and swap out and get my juniper, because we already know that that juniper is a much, much cleaner burning gunpowder. But there again, time will tell. Okay, I'm going to walk up, get a little closer look, and mark those off. And I don't know how well you guys can see that, but this is Schutzen. I think you can look down that barrel and see how dirty it actually is. Now, one thing that I can tell you I'm going to need to do is I'm going to have to go sand off just a little bit, because as I shoot this gun, and I'm getting a coat of black powder on the ring, she's actually dragging on that side of the barrel. So I'm going to go work on that just a little bit, clean the barrel, and change out to my homemade gunpowder with the juniper. If you guys have been following along to this point, here comes the breeze. You'll see that my homemade slick shots are doing their job. Not one cap jam at all. Okay, powders are swapped out, barrel's clean. I worked on the front sight just a little bit, and I guess at this point let's just see how we can do. Now it looks like we went high, obviously, and still throwing them to the right. I'm going to load up again and see what it's going to go on with this next round. Okay, I'm loaded back up, and let's see what happens here. I'm going to hold the front pin just a hair low, the top of the V notch, and see where she prints. And I'm going to favor a little bit more the left side of that front pin. See what happens. Well, to get that into the editing program and see precisely where what hit where, I'm going to walk up and mark them off, load up one more cylinder, and walk up to the target and see what she does up close. My bad. What I did, friends, is I walked up to the target, paced off about 21 feet, turned around and shot offhand, left-handed. Then I get everything into the editing program and realized I forgot to turn the camera on. But everything that's circled right here, this one and these right here, are all 5 shots. And this is almost a double. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the reason I did that is because I was making a point about these pocket pistols. They're really not designed for long distance shooting or target shooting or anything like that. But what's interesting about this is, as tall as that front pin actually is, this is where she impacted. So again, just reiterating the point, up close and personal, these guns can shoot pretty doggone good. Thanks for watching, and everybody have a great day. Bye.